We're good? We're live?
Yeah.
Hey, good evening, guys. Sorry for the delay, technical difficulties. Hopefully you can hear us clearly. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for your patience. Let me just tell you how tonight's going to work. We'll refund you for the 15 minutes. So look out for that refund. It's coming with that government check that you're getting from Trump. Just look for an additional income on that check. So tonight, it'll be about 45 minutes. The Hamiguas to my right will be sharing, and then to my left, we got the Levesques. This is why I picked these couples. I think we all are going through a lot of change currently in our lives that we were not expecting, right? I mean, it seemed like everything just happened so quickly. And we just wanted to come on tonight to encourage you and then maybe give you a few tips. Both of Steve and Jean Levesque have worked from home. You know, realtor over here, so if you're looking to sell your house or buy a house, come see this man over here, you know, working from home, and Mr. Hamagiwa over here working for 20 plus years from home as well. So they'll be able to give you some tips as you adjust to that. And then obviously my wife now being a teacher, principal, vice principal, and a counselor for a kindergarten, second grade, and 2 freshmen. So I know that everyone has a lot on their plate. So that's what tonight's meant to be, just to encourage you. So we hope that you get something good out of this. So just sit back, relax, grab your honey. We're not going to here to challenge you in any way, and then we'll give you some scriptures tonight. And at the end, we'll have some questions. So as you're watching this, if there's a question that comes up that you're like, ooh, I want to know more on that, or maybe you hear something that Steve, Brenda, or Gretchen, or Jean, or myself, or April share, and you want to ask more, type it up on the thing. I got my computer right here. I'm looking, and Melinda Coda is also on a computer, and she's feeding questions to us as well. So guys, again, enjoy tonight, and I'll give it over to Mr. Hamagiwa.
Well, thanks, Edgar. Hey, look, you know, I think you mentioned that it's all different for all of us, and you know, I was just talking the other day to a friend of mine who now is working from home, was working in the office before, and he had to balance his laptop while he was on the phone and walking through. And he has 2 kids. He has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, if you can imagine that, walking through their play area. He steps on, of all things, a Lego as he's trying to do this on his call. And I think all of us are kind of going through those things right now. There's kind of funny stories, there's good things that are happening, but sometimes things are really tough. I think you hear on the news, if you watch the news, you get really, really kind of down because you hear of just the divorce rate in China skyrocketing. You hear about domestic abuse, suicide hotline kind of statistics are going through the roof. And it makes you sad because you think of the time that we live in right now. This should really be our finest moment. And as I look back over the last couple of weeks, I think the thing that we can see is that there are good moments in the midst of all this chaos that's kind of going on. I was just looking back, and I don't think my family has had these many consecutive dinners in a row. I don't know if your family is so like that, but we've had many in a row. A lot of times we have lunch and dinner, and so we're sharing a lot of time together. We've had deep conversations with some family members, some coworkers, things that we probably wouldn't have had before. So that's really, really nice. But yet, it is difficult because now you're bringing an element into a home. If you're working, we're used to working out in the field or out in an office, and now you're back home trying to navigate with kids, and now the kids are home. So now you're in a crucible. You're almost in a pressurized kind of spot, and that makes things really, really difficult. Now, I do think of the scripture in Ephesians 5, verse 16. It just says, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil. And I think what we look at is we all have time and opportunity. There are times that the Lord provides. It may not be the most convenient that we could do, or the most convenient place we find ourselves in, but yet it is really, really a good time to be able to do some special things. And so I think that some of the things that my wife and I are going to share, the Levesques are going to share, and the Garcias, are just tips to kind of help your family through this time. You know, like Edgar said, I've been 20 plus years working remotely. So these are just things, these are just my suggestions. You don't have to do them or take them, but this might tip the balance in your favor in your home. And so the first thing I think of is you want to just be really honest with yourself as you work from home. Now, I didn't get this from myself. The folks that I used to work with when I first started working out of my home told me, look, you will feel much better at night if you do an honest day's work. So if your boss is not there, and now you're used to having a boss in the room or down the hall, and they're monitoring you, if you're at home by yourself right now, you're kind of self-monitoring. And so I would just tell you, work diligently. If you get paid for 8 or 9 hours, go ahead and give your company 8 or 9 hours. Try to give them maybe a little bit more, but you want to be honest with yourself, your company, and really, in front of God as well. And I think the thing that helped me early on is I was told that no matter if Brenda and I were in a 2-bedroom apartment at the time that I started working remotely, is to find a spot in your place, whether it's your apartment or your home or wherever you're living, that you can kind of do the work that you need to do. And so when I first started, we had a spare bedroom, then we started adopting kids, and so I got moved out of the bedroom. I tried to do work in the living room, and that didn't work. I ended up spending a decade, if you could believe that, in my garage on a card table. And so I would encourage you, just try to find a spot that you're able to go and do the work that you need to do, and make that kind of a designated area. It doesn't have to be a big spot, maybe just a desk in the corner of a room someplace, but make that your spot. I think the other thing that I would encourage you to do, once you find where you're going to work, is do yourself a favor and talk it over with your spouse about the schedule that you have. So what Brenda and I tend to do in the morning is we work to kind of touch base and see what things are happening during the day. So I'll tell her, these are the things I have to do, these are the things I have to accomplish on this time frame. She tells me the things that she needs to do. We try to get all that worked out in the morning so that our day just goes a little bit more smoothly. So once you find a spot, communicate well with your spouse, and really, if your kids are a little bit older, let your kids know these are things that we have to do. And so once that starts to roll, I think you'll find that your household will get a little bit calmer, things will be a little bit better. And then I think you always want to act wisely when you're working at home. And remember, if you're the one that is used to being out in the office or out in the yard or wherever you're working, you're the random element that is different now in the household. So you're the one coming in, you're the one that is not used to being there. And your kids are not used to being there. They're used to being in school this time of year. So now you have all these elements coming in. Whoever is managing the household does not really need your help to do this because they're used to managing the household on their own. So if I hear noise or if I hear commotion, if I hear things, if I keep running out and trying to manage it and calm things down, I will actually kind of take authority from my wife. And I don't want to do that. I want our children and our household to know that she's the boss, she has authority, and she's the one that sets the ground rules, and I will not overrule her. So I work hard to do that. If you do that, I promise you will help yourself maintain a more peaceful kind of household. And then I think the other thing too is, even at this time where you're now working from home, try to go ahead and make time to be with your spouse. Even though you are in proximity, you're at home, you're kind of next to each other, if you're not setting aside time for your spouse, things can go badly really, really quick. And I think the statistics we see across America are kind of bearing that out right now. And so make time for them, schedule time where you can connect. We do it early in the morning, sometimes late at night we'll watch a TV show, we'll just do something. Doesn't take a lot of time, but you need to do that every day. And then for your kids, look, when the kids were used to coming home about 3:15, when my kids were in school, Jace would get home, my grandson, about the same time. And they would always say, hey, can we play? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I would always tell my kids, look, Dad's got to work. There's 3 things I got to do or whatever I got to do to finish up. And but I'll play at 5:30 or I'll play at 6, and I would put them off. So you want them to know that you're not choosing the job over them, but you have responsibility. And so let them know you have responsibility, that now you're obligated to go ahead and play with them a little bit later. I think that's all fine. I think that's good that the kids are not competing now, because especially if they're younger, they don't quite understand why you're home they don't recognize it's not a Saturday, Sunday, and why you're not home, not paying attention to them. So you want to make sure that they know that you still value them. And so before I hand it over to my wife, I would just encourage you to say, look, be patient during this time, try to be flexible, and try to manage your expectations as best you can, because these things will finish out. Things will be different, but you don't want scars. You don't want scars going in your household as you're doing this. And with that, I will hand it over to my wife, Brenda.
Well, one of the things that you just got done saying was that we have to be flexible, and I wanted to talk about that for just a little bit. When this all started about 4 weeks ago, day one, Steve wants a schedule so that we can get everything done that needs to be accomplished. And I did. I typed it all up. I called my sister, who happens to be a principal. She's retired now. And she's helping her 4 grandchildren with their schooling right now. And they're very blessed to have her. So she had them on a schedule from 9 o'clock when they go for a hike till 5 o'clock when they help cook dinner. And every minute was taken care of. And I got a copy of that, and I typed up all the things that we need to accomplish, and there's a lot of them. And this is just for Jace, and I thought that would be really good. I haven't looked at that schedule yet. You got to be really flexible, because I have it all done. I know the things we want to accomplish, and then I get a schedule from the school. And the school tells us they expect us to be in school now. First, I thought they were going to tell us, don't worry about it. They said, no, we're going to be in school now from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock. They have given us assignments online. Today he had 12 of them. And then they also give us reading assignments, typing assignments, math assignments to go in addition with this. They give us art assignments, which is really actually fun to be doing all of our art online. They give us PE assignments. They tell us we have to have healthy snacks and healthy lunches. And every moment is scheduled for us. Yeah, that doesn't always happen in our household. So we have to really be flexible with what's real, what we have to really get done, and what we don't really have to get done. I think that we have to have time to do all this cooking. We're all cooking at least 2 meals a day, which leaves a dirty kitchen, which means we're cleaning more, and that's hard. I have to have a lot of time for my husband because he deserves it. I want my grandson to have this time to enjoy it. He has a really happy heart, and I want to nourish that. And I don't want this to be the time he does all this schoolwork. He's on the computer all day long. All of his assignments are on computer. And then he goes and plays video games. And I don't want that to be the way it is. So he has to help me. We've had a blanket tent set up in our house now for 4 or 5 weeks? 4 weeks. At least, and I don't even know what's inside of it. We have gone inside of it a couple times in the beginning, and we make up our own games. We like to play, what does he call it? Uno, attack, flip. And we play with the dog, and we have pictures of the dog holding the cards. We also, I had him help me decorate for Easter, and we put up all the decorations that we have. I have 15 chickens, bunnies, and lambs on my wooden blinds. And he hung them all up because that's where he wanted them to go. They all look like they're being executed, but it's really cute. It actually makes me itch. Every time I look at it, I just itch because that's not my style of decorating, but it's adorable, and it makes him happy, and we got to be flexible. So I like that part. Another part I have to be flexible about, I had a friend text me this morning, and she told me that her house is practicing social distancing. She's distancing from her husband. She makes sure that she has time for herself and that her husband has time for himself. I thought that was just perfect. Because some of you don't need time for yourself. Steve's an extrovert. When he gets done working, he really wants to come out and play hard. I need time for myself, so I can social distance and go in my bedroom and have some time to breathe, or read a book, or read my Bible scripture, or just decompress from all the noise, or just remind myself that you're being patient right now, you're being patient right now. And I need that time, and I think that's really super important. The other thing that I think is really important right now is that we manage our expectations, because I think that we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves. So 4 weeks ago, if I'm being honest, I would say that social distancing was kicking my butt. It was winning, I was losing. I was trying to make a new schedule. I was trying to keep up with everybody. Our neighborhood has really been great about this. They do different activities each week. They do twice a week. After we did the teddy bear hunt, which was nationwide, they decided they wanted to keep on going. So they put up a big whiteboard outside, and they write across what the activities are going to be on Mondays and Fridays. So we've had jokes put in the windows, which was really good. And of course, the whole neighborhood's going for walks. They're walking around and getting their exercise on bikes, but they know to stop and look at all of the things we have going. We've had sidewalk chalk. We had to do games on the ground with sidewalk, so they had to do hopscotches, or if somebody made a candy land, we had chutes and ladders. We have mazes for them to follow. It's really cute. This on Friday, we were gonna do Easter egg hunts and hide eggs in our yard that the kids get to walk by and just count. So all the kids going by have the opportunity to see what's going on. I'm really glad. That's 2 more things on my list. I'm busy. I'm busier now than I've ever been, and they've just put 2 more things on my list. Then I start watching Facebook and seeing all the things that are going on Facebook. And people have been amazing with the things they're doing on Facebook. People are delivering gifts to their friends. One of my girlfriends actually colored her hair and highlighted her hair and cut her own hair, and it was absolutely adorable. Did a fabulous job with it.
Thank you.
It was you. We've had people plant a garden. I don't know how long that's going to take to grow, but they've planted their gardens. They have made homemade bread. They've reorganized the entire household. One person made a gourmet meal, which ended with bittersweet chocolate creme brulee. I don't even know what a creme brulee is. It looked like chocolate pudding in my opinion, but I'm sitting here going, and I put this pressure on me because I'm not doing all that. I haven't done anything different. I'm trying to survive, and the more I watched what was going on with other people, the more I started feeling myself get that depression, that hanging over me, that I'm not performing the way I'm supposed to be, and that's not okay. So then I realized that they're not all doing this themselves. They're doing one thing, and I needed to pick one thing, and we needed to run with it. So I picked our neighbors, and we're letting Jace get involved with this. He gets to go out and help me with the sidewalk chalk. He picks the jokes. He helps me hide the stuff. And this is what we want to do to reach our neighbors, is we want to be available and we want to be part of this. So I think that's really important. One of my favorite Bible verses that I've always tried to live by is 1 Corinthians 15:58, and it says, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your toil is not in vain for the Lord." And I think that at this point, I'm looking at the stuff that we're doing going, that's not in vain. When I'm spending time with my husband, that's not in vain. When I'm investing in Jace and we're learning Bible verses and we're learning our work and we're trying to keep him just at level, that's not in vain. God's going to honor all of this. When I'm working with our neighbors, that's all not in vain. So I think, like you said before, we need to be real careful that we just don't lose this chance, don't lose these opportunities.
Brenda, I love what you said, that I think we put pressure on ourselves.
Oh, I did.
And we have this opportunity, perhaps for the first time, at least that I can remember, in our history, of we have nothing to do. Our calendars have been cleared for us. Your quarantine, stay at home order and different things like that. And then some of us, because I'm with you, I see it on Facebook, right, and Instagram and different areas, you're doing almost as much as you used to.
I'm doing much more.
And it's like, just the other day, I've had the opportunity to take yesterday morning off and this morning just to recharge the batteries and then get going again for the next 8 years. And I get up in the morning and my wife is making pancakes for the kids. And then she's got to start school. Later that day, I'm like, honey, why are you making these kids pancakes? Oh, but no, like, give them cereal, give them a chocolate chip cookie. Who cares? They're not going anywhere. That was Steve. He fell. Are you all right, Steve?
I'm better now.
I was like, just give them a donut. Don't exhaust yourself trying to make these kids. That'll be for the weekends. I mean, you're juggling a lot, ladies and husbands. You're juggling a lot trying to figure out how to teach our kids now in a new system, right? That we were not trained to do as parents. I had the privilege of going to online school, and for me, it was hard. So now I can't imagine, my kid who's a second grader, third grader, something like that, and my girls who are in high school trying to figure out online learning. So don't put the pressure on yourselves. And I told my wife, you know what? If they flunk them, let them flunk them. They're not going to flunk them. Like, they're not. And it's like, it's third grade. Second grade? It's second grade. Who cares? I mean, it's freshman year. Who cares? Really, in the grand scheme of things, who cares? Like, don't overdo it. Don't overexhaust yourselves. Steve, you mentioned, yes, the divorce rate in China has climbed up. Here in Orange County, domestic violence is up. And it's incredible that here we have an opportunity to do something different, and it's getting the best of us. And I think we just need to okay, let's relax. Let's, zoom out and say, okay, let's just pump the brakes here and let's enjoy in this horrific thing of COVID-19. I believe God can use it for his glory. But I think we have to be pump the brakes. Let's not get all crazy about it. Let's enjoy the moment that we are in and see how God is going to use it, right? So, Love X.
For myself, I still feel like I'm living in a Twilight Zone episode. And I know that that's probably a lot of us feel the same way right now, because sometimes I wake up in the morning and think, is this a dream or is this really happening? And just the other day I went to CVS, and when I went in, they have this clear draped area in front of the registers, dividing them from the customers, and they've got this arrow to walk this way and leave this much space to get in and get out. And I mean, I'm looking around, everybody's wearing masks, and it just feels weird. It's really awkward. But the thing I want to share, I want to kind of share with the guys this evening. My heart goes out to the guys, and I want to encourage the men, the fathers, the husbands out there, and just knowing that we are going through this together. And I know as guys, as the provider for our family, the financial provider, making sure that our wife and kids have everything that they need, sometimes we carry a lot of weight on our shoulders, even if our spouse works. We carry that because that's what God designed us to be, as the provider. And so a lot of us, these are very uncertain times. And at best case scenario, you still have your job, you're working from home and trying to manage around the family like we talked about. But for others, there's a big question mark of, am I going to have a job tomorrow? Am I going to have one 2 weeks from now? Am I going to have to start all over? And what can happen there, my encouragement to you is, what can happen is that it would be easy to isolate yourself, to pull away from the people that care about you most, your wife, your kids, your close friends and family, and just kind of pull away. And if you do pull away, the thing that can happen in these times, I believe there's 2 times that we're most vulnerable to sin, to falling back to bad habits. That is, after a huge victory, if something really good happens in your life, and when you face adversity. I think those are the 2 big ones. And I think with this adversity that we're facing right now, it's easy to pull away, isolate, and then go back to bad habits. Whether that's drinking, whether that's drugs, whether it's pornography, whether it's an old fling, whatever it might be, there are things that the enemy wants to do during this time to bring us down. And God wants to use this time to bring us up, because I believe that as we get through this, we're going to be better on the other side.
Amen.
And I think this is a make it or break it kind of time here for us as Christian husbands, fathers. And what I want to encourage you also is reach out to people, because I know it's hard for guys. We don't reach out to each other. We kind of hide in our own little pity party, and we do our own little thing, and we'll figure it out. But I'm blessed. I have Joe Coda in our life group. He texted me the other day, Gene, how can I pray for you? How can I pray for you and your family during this time? And I'm telling him exactly how he can pray for us. And then I'm asking him, Joe, how can we pray for you guys? And that's the kind of stuff that we need right now. We need to be able to reach out to each other. And you know what? I guarantee there's a ton of us out there that think that we're the only one going through it the way we're going through it, until we open up to someone else. And once we open up and we realize, oh my gosh, you're going through the same thing I'm going through. Wow, I'm carrying all this weight on my shoulders. And the reality is we are going through this together. And it's not just our church. It's not just California. It's not just the United States. This is the world. We are all going through this trial together. And I believe that we're going to be better for it as we come through. If we remain faithful, we will be better as we come out on the other end. I think of Job. I don't think any of us, the people that have the virus, that have lost a loved one, hey, my heart goes out to them. My prayers go out to those families. But for the majority of us, this is just an inconvenient time. It's a difficulty, and there's a lot of question marks about our future business, career, income. But you look at Job and you think to yourself, gosh, I don't think we're going to face what Job faced. I don't think any of us are going to come close to that. And you know, Job lost his income, he lost his family, and he lost his health. I mean, he pretty much lost everything. And yet, Job was able to say, what do we do? Just bless God when he gives us good things, or are we going to accept the bad things as well? And so Job came through his trial, and on the other side of it, he had a breakthrough, and he was blessed double everything he had before. God poured out blessings. So I just want to encourage you in this way that I believe that breakdowns come before breakthroughs. And we are suffering a breakdown right now, but I believe that God has something great for all of us on the other side, and we will learn great things if we're faithful during this time to the Lord. If we're faithful to our spouse and we're faithful to our children, we will see awesome, incredible things happen. And the last thing is this, you know, they say that it's the darkest time right before dawn. And because I'm a surfer and I have people pick me up at 5:30 in the morning to go surfing, I know that that's true. You get outside and you look at the stars and realize it is dark at 5:30, 5 a.m. And then all of a sudden the sun starts coming up and then the light is there. So just want to encourage all of you guys to remain faithful and watch what God does and teaches you as you lead your family through this time. I'm going to hand it over to my wife, Gretchen.
One of the things that I've realized during this time is that being the introvert that I am, I actually kind of like it.
This is your time right here.
I am thriving. Not always thriving, but generally speaking, we have 2 kids in college, and they live at home, but they might as well live in a dorm or something because they're always gone. And I've missed them, and they're home, and we eat meals together, and I kind of love it. We have one in high school as well, and she's home more now too, so I do enjoy it. But it comes with its challenges too, and that's partly what I wanted to talk about tonight. And piggybacking a little bit on what Jean had said with regard to those extra temptations that come our way, those unique situations, or maybe even something from the past that was tempting, that's kind of especially tempting again now, that may have been dormant for a while. If you're one that has made some poor choices recently because of that temptation, this is the beauty of Jesus, is that he rose again, he died on the cross and rose again so that we could have a new chance in him. We could have total forgiveness and restoration to him. And he's not the kind of God that just says, oh, you did that once and repented and I forgave you before. Oh, you do it again, forget it. All bets are off. That's not the way he functions. He doesn't turn anyone away when we come to him in humility and in repentance. And so, we've had to live this out a little bit at home because we haven't always been kind to one another at home. And, our selfish ways come to the surface. And so it may be a big thing or a small thing, but just keeping that in mind, that right now is an opportunity to turn around and do it different. His mercies are new every morning. They're new every second of every day. And so we don't take his grace for granted, but we need to remind ourselves that it's always there and he never turns us away. So the other thing that I was thinking about in preparation for today was I was thinking about those times in our lives when something big happens and our situation in life or at home has changed dramatically. For us, with our girls getting older and Jean working from home, and then me having new opportunities to think about, well, what am I going to do with my next stage in life? It's kind of like a pre-empty nest type stuff I've been going through, but I've been thinking a lot about these things, thinking, what am I going to do next? Okay, so I'm looking at job opportunities and how do I want to retool? it's been hard processing those things, and I've had to figure out some new ways to function. But this quarantine time, what's happened is that everybody is put in this new situation where we're like, we weren't expecting this, and we're all having to completely retool. And sometimes what can happen, and it's not super abnormal, is when you have your spouse, because we're talking to couples mostly here, when you have your spouse coming home and you're around each other all the time, and you're like, we're not used to being around each other all the time. Jean has worked from home for a long time, so we're kind of used to this, but most people aren't. When you have that, it's such kind of like an assault on your routine, or even having your kids home so much. You may wake up one day and you're like, I don't even know if I like them anymore. Like, I don't know if I like this guy that's in the bed next to me. I don't know if I like my children that are down the hallway, or maybe I like one of them but not the other one, or whatever, right? But that's funny, but it feels weird when you actually feel it, when you actually think it, or you're like, I don't know what we have to talk about. Or I don't know how to function with them when they're around so much right now. Are we even compatible anymore? We've had trouble in the past maybe, and maybe it's time for us to split and go our separate ways now. Now that we're seeing, what I say to you is this: you are not alone if you're feeling that way. It is actually normal when your routine gets so radically changed, or when you become an empty nester, or whatever your situation is. These big moments in your psychological, emotional, spiritual, physical life, you may have some of those thoughts. You're not alone, and you just press through it with Jesus. And when you do, there is light at the end of the tunnel. This too shall pass. The heaviness and the trying to figure stuff out, and maybe even the doubt, just trust that the Lord will get you through. And whatever feelings you may be even having to deal with now that might be confusing or conflicting, they will also pass when you trust the Lord with your relationships. When you trust Him to provide for you in whatever way, to bring you back the love or the peace or the harmony or whatever it is that you may be missing right now for the people that you live with, just hang in there, and He will provide. The other thing is that we have a verse that hangs in our hallway from Colossians 3. It's 12 through 14. And it talks about these different virtues. And some of them have been, I think we all memorized it in our whole family when the kids were in elementary or school or something. And it's kind of like our house rules is this passage, because it just talks about patience and kindness and forgiving one another the way that the Lord has forgiven us. And so what we're doing now is we're actually having to live those out. We're having to live out each one of those virtues. And so just the ones that have stood out to me the most from that passage is patience and bearing with one another. And so we're commanded to do it, but the Holy Spirit provides us the strength to do it. And so bearing with one another, yep, we definitely got some taste of that a little bit last week, had a little conflict that needed to be worked out between me and one of my daughters. And, we just had to give each other some space. We had to give each other more space than another day would have required. And that felt painful to me. But I knew that we both needed space to think and to process. And the sun almost went down on our wrath, but not quite. We were able to work it out as much as we could. And then we couldn't work every single detail out. We had to agree to disagree on some things. And you know what? It was okay. It was okay. And we got through it. And when we were listening to one another, we're trying to work it out. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. And it was good, and we were able to move on. And I just was recalling those things that I know, I should know, and should be implementing about listening. So I was trying to hear her out. And she was looking at me, and I was realizing, like, I want to be listening to what she's saying and not just thinking of what I'm going to say next. And the eye contact and just verbally saying, like, I hear what you're saying. I know what you mean. Giving her those clues that I'm listening. And it helped us to get through that conflict. So just remembering some of those basic things that we know as couples that we can do, just as we get into conflict situations, to pull those tricks out of the bag. So those were the things that came to my mind. So
I think, Gretchen, something that you said that I think we get the opportunity right now. I mean, we get the opportunity always. It's not just a right now, but I think more than ever right now to show each other love, patience, and grace. Those three things right there. And not only just with each other as husband and wife, but think about, we all had to adjust, right? Everyone who was watching had to adjust in some shape or form to this new and I hate that people are saying, if you watch me last night or you read anything I post on Facebook, I hate that people are saying that our new normal. Because there's nothing normal about this. And this is not our new normal. This is our new for right now. This is not, and it's not normal. There's nothing normal about this. Being quarantined and social distancing, I hate that word. I think physical distancing is good, but we can text, we can call each other. Heck, write each other a letter and send it. It'll get there in a week or so. Maybe by the time it gets there, quarantine's off, right? But I think if we've had to adjust, whether it's working from home, and we got to be patient with one another as we adjust our schedules and figure out how this is going to work. Think about our kids. Think about your kids. They're having to adjust. They were going to school. At least for my kids, I think of my kids, they went to school. They went on spring break, and they never went back. Man. And then all of a sudden, they got to learn how to do this stuff online and Zoom and do all this work. And they're not adjusting as fast as we probably would want them to, but they're kids. So I think extending the grace even to our kids, being patient with them, I think right now it's a good time to exercise those muscles that we all know how to do it, and just being gracious, showing each other grace, especially our spouse and our kids. I think right now more than ever is giving each other those, that grace card, I think just needs to be right now, just part of our daily life. With our kids and each other, because man, I'm telling you, unlike Gretchen, I'm an extrovert. I am not liking this at all. Like, I find reasons to leave the house. Like, I think I need to go to Home Depot. Got my mask and everything, except this week. It's like, okay, don't go to the stores, avoid the stores. Okay, let's follow those as much as we possibly can. I still come into work to the office, and again, I get that opportunity, but I know for some of you, you're having to work from home, and it's a big adjustment. So just be patient with one another. Show grace to one another.
Talking about adjustment, so I told the ladies, but some of you guys may have not watched the ladies one. I'm no longer working as of literally 2 days before we got quarantined. So I had all these amazing ideas of trying to figure out what my new chapter of my life was going to be. I've never been without a job. I've always had a job lined up. So I was super stoked about it. And I was kind of excited about being home with my kids for 2 weeks. I was 2 weeks. I'm gonna give myself 2 weeks, and I'm gonna hit the ground running. I'm gonna get those resumes out. I'm gonna have people lined up. They're gonna want me. And then we go on quarantine, and your mind just starts playing tricks on you, and you start I personally freaked out. I freaked out because I'm like, oh my gosh, me and the 6 bajillion other people that don't have jobs now are all gonna be looking for a job all at the same time. And so we've had that part, so I've been dealing with that. Then we've had, sorry, am I a little too hot? So that's been an adjustment all of its own, and so I had to kind of go through those emotions and realize that sometimes the devil he doesn't have to do very much. He just has to kind of get in our head. And so I realized I was having trouble sleeping. Anxiety was starting to creep in, and it started bleeding into all areas of my life. And so I needed to figure out what it was that, although I knew that Christ had me, my heart knew that. I knew God has my back. But it sometimes takes your head a while to figure that out. And so I don't know about you, but I was staying up late. I was thinking of things I could do the next day. I was praying. I was trying to figure out if I could cut my hair by myself in the bathroom. I was doing crazy things at 4 a.m. It was like not a good idea. But I realized that I needed to figure out what's taking my mind hostage. And I just needed to like figure that out, name it, and give it to Jesus. Because in 1 Peter it says, cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. That's the truth. So what I realized I started doing was, I'm like a problem solver. So I went from that, like, okay, you can't do anything about your job, leave it alone. Like, why even apply? Because nobody's even looking at it. So I focused in on the kids. And I did healthy things, like I got them a learning station. I redid all of my cabinets. I posted them all so you guys could see it, because I know that all of my friends on Facebook really wanted to know what my medicine cabinet looked like.
Pressure over here.
So I started doing all those things, and then I started to like really fixate on the kids' schedule, because I got the letter that said like, this is what you're gonna have to do. So from 8:30 until 3:30, I have one kid that has something he's supposed to be doing every hour, every minute. And I wanted, the perfectionist of me wanted to be able to do that. And then dealing that, like, I was in early ed, so I had 80 kids that listened to me. It was nothing for me to do at chapel and be in front of the kids and teach them, or teach in a classroom and substitute, and all the kids listen to me. Why can I not get this one stinking kid to listen to me? Just one. I just need one to listen to me. So I had to figure out how to give myself grace and give him grace, because we're both learning this together. And so that space thing, you know, they need space, we need space, and we need to be able to give that to them. And today I didn't care. I'm sorry if you're watching, but I didn't care about the science project today. I really just wanted to do my nails today and be in my bedroom for 5 minutes without anyone being in there. Because what I realized is, since we started this, 3 weeks ago, I have not had a minute to myself. I can't even go to the bathroom without the baby deciding that she wants to put her fingers underneath the door to see what I'm doing. And then I realized I was loving my husband, and I was like, babe, I miss you so much. I love you. I can't wait till you get home. And then he'd be home for 5 minutes. I'm like, do you need to go back to work? I feel like you need to go back to work, because I'm kind of already, you invading my space already. So I realized I just needed to give everybody some grace, and I needed to give myself some grace along with that. I don't know about you, but I love my husband, and I want to be able to, I realized in this, we really haven't had any date nights. Like, how do you have a date night? And so I had to I started thinking back of when we first got married. We were poor and we didn't have any money. And so there was no real date nights besides within making it creative at your home. And so I feel kind of like when we lived in that 1-bedroom apartment, trying to figure out like doing coffee in the veranda, which was really just our little patio that like could only fit like 2 little bitty stools. But making it special by putting candles out there. And the other day we sat outside, and it's been a very long time since we've done this, but sat outside and we put a fire on and drank coffee and just talked. And so he's having to deal with me because although I've used 6,000 words telling my son to sit down and finish his work, it's not the words I really want to say. So I haven't really been able to use all my words. And so being also mindful that it hasn't changed. He's still a man. He doesn't want to hear the 6,000 words. So finding times to have Zoom dates with my girlfriends so we could be able to sit and chat. And the other night, poor thing couldn't come into our bed until it was like 11:30. We had started at 9 and it went to 11:30. And he's like, I'm really sleepy. I'm like, I'm sorry, we're still chatting. So giving yourselves that time that you need. Also, Gretchen touched on like real talk. Like for some of us, we've just been going through the motions. And when you're going through the motions in life, you go to work, you decide you don't really like your husband very much. You go to work, come home, you'll have to deal with them for a little bit in between things. But this is causing for people to realize, oh crud, we really need to start to like figuring something out. You can kind of ignore your kids, not great behavior or maybe disrespectful mouth or whatever it is, those little things, and you like kind of put it off and put it under the rug because you really don't want to deal with it. But now you're at home, and so this is a great opportunity to start like revisiting those family rules, figuring out what needs to work for your family, maybe going over scripture more. Like we've really been trying to do devotionals each day. I have like 6 kids devotionals. And there's we go through each one just trying to figure out what we think that would be the best for that day. to be able to, involve everyone, because my range, like he said, is from 18 months all the way up to 15. So there's a big wide range, but being able to spend time with each of the kids and being intentional. It's funny, you can spend the whole day together and still have no quality time. You have quantity, but are you really making quality? So that's been one of my big things of trying to find quality time with my kids and laughing, because everything's so serious. Everything on Facebook is serious. Everything in the media right now is serious. Just laughing, because it's medicine to the soul. So today my daughter and I were coming up with silly nicknames for one of our really serious aunts, and trying to find like great ways just to be able to make ourselves laugh, or like, we're trying to figure out how to decorate our masks so we could still look really cute in our masks, and put lipstick on them, and like try to find things to be able to make things great. And I don't know about you, but I know that I know some of you guys are at home more, and so maybe this is a great time to, this is something we do at Married for Life every once in a while, is do a 14-day challenge. I know my husband's gonna be really excited that I said this, but I don't know if you guys know about this, but 14 days of intense, wonderful fellowship of just being able to, hang out behind the bedroom door. So whatever that looks like for you. So I'll go ahead and give it to you now. Okay?
All right, we're going to end now. Challenge accepted. Let's go. So before I jump in and kind of bring us to a close, and I know there's some questions already that came through, we have a Good Friday service that we'd love for you to join us. We have a 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then 7:30, and then Easter. We're going to have a sunrise service, 9 o'clock and 10:45. We'd love for you to be a part of those services. But just to kind of, I think they covered so much and a lot of really, really good stuff. And here's what I would say. If you've been part of Knott Avenue in our marriage ministry, is we have the tools. They're in our toolbox. We've spent a ton of years and time going through different studies. Now we just get to put all those things, go dust off the books, and start putting them into practice. And so I want to read just a few scriptures to you guys tonight. Romans 8:27 to 28, and I'm reading out of the NLT version. It says, "And the Father who knows all hearts knows what the Spirit is saying, for the Spirit leads for us believers in harmony with God's own will. And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them." God didn't put COVID-19 in front of us, but I do believe that he is going to use this. And he's going to use us, his church, his people, in a mighty way. And I think this is our opportunity. And I think you touched on that, Steve. It's here we have an opportunity to do something with this. Whether it's our families, our immediate families. I know that I've heard, people ask, "Hey, how come we're not doing anything for the kids? What do I do for my kids?" Mom, Dad, you're the disciple maker. Not me as a pastor, not Pam, not Pastor Albert. You, Mom and Dad, you're the disciple. You're the disciple maker. God entrusted you with your kids, so now you get to disciple them. And I know it's a tough challenge, but there are some great resources that we have on our website for you to help you that. But right now, this is your time to step in and disciple your kids. And trust me, it's tough. I was trying to do a devotional tonight over dinner, and my patience was running low, just trying to get my kids to listen. And I don't do good with little kids when it comes to teaching. I'm not that age level. I like big people. And I was like, "Would you just listen?" He wasn't listening. So Philippians chapter 2, verse 12 through 18. "Dear friend, you always followed my instructions when I was with you. And now that I am away, it's even more important. Work hard to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear, for God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases him. Do everything without complaining and arguing so that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as children of God, shining like bright lights in a world full of crooked and perverse people. Hold firmly to the word of life. Then one day of Christ's return, I will be proud that I did not run the race in vain and that my work was not useless. But I will rejoice even if I lose my life, pouring it out like a liquid offering to God, just like your faithful service is an offering to God. And I want all of you to share that joy. Yes, you should rejoice, and I will share your joy. And then if you tuned in last night, I've been, someone asked, and I'll answer that question, what books do you recommend to read? So think on that. And then the other question that was on there was, what do we do with devotionals? How are you finding your kind of time, if I read the question correctly, how are you finding time to get alone and be at the Master's feet? Here's what I would tell you. I think right now I would tell you, don't read a book. Because you got so much other stuff that you're doing. We're starting off, all our life groups are starting off here next week. So jump into a life group. We're going to still do them virtually through Zoom. But even as the women and the marriage couples we're launching our groups, there's books that go along with them. It's like, don't even read a book. Just watch the tape or the thing you're going to get on Right Now Media or YouTube. Watch that and let God speak through that. Trying, I think, right now to read something, you're adding more pressure to yourself. And so I would tell you, just read his word. And early on when this whole thing, and I want to take you back to March 8th. Everyone go back. What were you doing March 8th? Because right around March 8th, things were good. I know what we were doing. It was my wife's birthday, her 40th birthday. So welcome to your 40th birthday. It's all her fault that we're doing this quarantine. So her birthday, we're all celebrating with some friends. The Matthews and the Shellhorns were in San Diego, and we were riding scooters. It was epic. It was awesome. And then Monday came.
We're gonna buy scooters.
Yes, we were gonna go buy
scootering right now.
We were gonna go buy scooters and invest in scooters because we thought that was gonna be the new way of the world in scooters. And that week, I think by Wednesday, everything just went chaos. And then, okay, we're gonna have church. And then by Sunday it was, nope, you can't have church. And 250 or less. And then it was, I think by the time I got home from church, it was, 200, and they just kept going, dropping. It was like 0. It's like, what happened? Like in less than 72 hours, our lives changed completely. And so I got in this mode of watching the news and watching, reading everything on Facebook and articles and trying to figure out, just trying to get in front of this and get ahead for, for the church family and for my family. And then my brain just was muck. And I started kind of feeling depressed. I was like, man, we're going to die. Jesus is coming. Well, the end of the world is here. Doomsday. Let's go get a bunker, and zombies are going to come out, and they're going to start eating our brains. Let's go buy groceries. I never was in line at Costco. Refused to do that. But, man, I just got so down. Then I was like, you know what? I need to go somewhere happy. Started the Old Testament. That's not a happy place to be. So I went to Psalms, and if you watched last night, I read this last night, but my goal is to memorize this entire Psalm. It's Psalms 34, verse 1 through 11, and then verse 17 to 20. It's, I will praise the Lord at all times. I will constantly speak of his praises. I will boast only in the Lord. Let all helpless take heart. Come, let us tell of the Lord's greatness. Let us exalt his name together. I prayed to the Lord, and he answered me. He freed me from all my fears. Those who look to him for help will be radiant with joy. No shadow of shame will darken their faces. In my desperation, I prayed, and the Lord listened. He saved me from all my troubles. For the angel of the Lord is a guard. He surrounds and defends all who fear him. Taste and see the Lord is good. All the joys of those who take refuge in him. Fear the Lord, you, his godly people, for those who fear him will have all they need. Even strong young lions sometimes go hungry, but those who trust in the Lord will lack nothing. Come, my children, and listen to me, and I will teach you to fear the Lord. The Lord hears his people, and when they call to him for help, he rescues them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. The righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to rescue each time. For the Lord protects the bones of the righteous. Not one of them is broken. Man, I read that and I'm like, yep, my fears are gone. Because my God has got this. He's going to see us through this. And you know what? If we got to sit here till the end of May, who knows, right? It's the end of April right now, and I'm sure it'll change. But you know what? It's okay. Let's make the most of this. Let's make the most of this with our spouse. Stop trying to kill each other. Just come sit down, what are we going to change after tonight? How are we going to do this differently? Say I'm sorry, ask for forgiveness, and let's move forward. Again, show love, patience, and grace more than ever right now, because we need it. And then we get to be a light. As Steve, you know, what they're doing with their neighborhood is super cool that they're doing that. My neighbors are not coming out at all. They're like staying in. We're the only crazy family who got bouncers out there because I got kids and we got to get their energy out. So we set up bouncers out in our house. We had a fire last Saturday night. We did a bonfire. We're like, I need to be outside. And so they're probably looking at us like we're crazy and we're not being social distancing. But I'm like, hey, we're in our own house. So again, I think right now it's, and you've heard me say this through some of the devotionals that I said, is our faith is an opportunity to put it on display for the world to see, our family, and social media. I mean, I would tell you, stop posting negative stuff. Let's give people hope. There's enough negative stuff on the news. My son kind of was one who kind of helped me see for the first few days. I was watching the news channels and flipping from 11 to 2 to 4 to 5, every news channel. And finally my son Eli goes, "Are we talking about Corona again?" And I'm like,
Last night, I went to go give him a kiss, and do you know what he told me? He said, Mom, social distancing, 6 feet, please.
he did. He totally told her that. So he was like, "Dad, are we watching this again?" And that was a reality check. Okay, turn off the news. I know enough. I know what we need to do. And if I get a little ticker that tells me, now you got to wear a mask, which is the new thing, I think, starting next week. So get your mask ready to go. So it's going to be a great look. So books or devotional, what are you guys doing or reading or?
You know, I think with our grandson Jason especially, we're kind of taking every opportunity to just assure him, and I ask him this all the time. I probably once a week, I'll pull him aside and I'll say, you know, are you bothered by this? I know that you can't see your friends. I know you're not able to go to school, but when you hear about these things, do these things bother you? And he's very kind of almost nonchalantly said, no, not really. And I think, you know, it gives me the opportunity to say to him, you know, you're right, because the Lord has this. None of this takes him by surprise. And God has us, and he's protecting us. And I think with, you know, and I think Gene touched on it. It was a great point, Gene, that when the kind of the mom and dad of the family are calm and things are going to be okay, because our reliance is not on doctors, the news, the reports, or any of those things, but our reliance is on the Lord. When our family, when our children see that, they naturally calm down. And I think that it's not a fake kind of faith. It is something we are just supremely confident in who God is. And so when our family looks at that, more than just kind of, well, you know, we're gonna do a devotional and do these things. I think sometimes they just need to see how we react to things. And so, you know, and look, quite frankly, you know, I'm the same way you are, Edgar. You start looking at this stuff, it gets a little scary, and you start wondering about these things, and then I have to remind myself, you know, God has this, and I need to reconcile that in my mind so that my family will understand and see kind of in my demeanor that I understand that the Lord has this. And I think that's an important thing. I think the other thing too, I don't know if you guys run into this, but there's people out there that are really, I mean, they're terrified of this. There are neighbors that you know we see and we come by, and they have said, look, I'm very, very afraid of this. And kind of at first I was, you know, I thought, oh, are they kind of kidding? You know, they seem like they're doing all the right things, same things we're doing. But it's an uneasy time, and I think that for folks that don't have kind of God in the center of their life, they now get the opportunity to see us as well. And so I think it's a great opportunity to do that. There's always time to share the gospel in a time of turmoil or transition, and so we take advantage of that. But like you were saying, if there's turmoil in your home, you're not going to be able to do those things. And so you know, some of the things we talked about here tonight, just to to kind of calm the waters at home, allow us to do things outside of the home with our family. Friends, I think that's real important.
And I think fear is legit. It's real, and I think it's okay. I think sometimes as Christians we think, man, I shouldn't have any fear. I should be fearless. And I don't think that's what Scripture tells us. I mean, because very familiar story to a lot of us, the disciples, right? They're on the boat with Jesus. The storm comes, and what happens? They freak out. They have fear. And they were with Jesus. They were right there. They could be like, hi, Jesus. And they had fear. And here we are. We can't like grab Jesus and hold him. I mean, we have Jesus. We know he's here with us. But fear is real. And I think sometimes it's okay to have that fear and just give that to pray through it. And, you know, yeah, some people, even within our family of believers, there's some of us who, there's the spectrum of some of us are taking this way too serious, perhaps. And then some of us maybe are being too loosey-goosey. I think we just have to, again, even there, have grace with each other and understand, hey, they got different convictions than I do. For me, like we have some friends that we do dinner with every Saturday night. We've been doing it for a while. We haven't stopped that. It's not my conviction to want to stop it. I know where they've been. They know where we've been. It's a small circle. When we're there, everybody kind of keeps their, distance and their mask on while we, out there with the bonfire. So we still maintain some of the things that they're asking us to, but that's just not my conviction of like, okay, you stay home. We're not, for me, that's not me. But we have some friends who are like, nope, they're not coming out. We'll see you and whenever they tell us to come out. And I'm sure they're gonna look a lot different. I'm sure I'm not gonna recognize them when I see them. They're gonna come all hairy, all over the place. I'm like, who are you? And that's okay, that's their convictions. And I think even there, I think as believers, is we have to just be like, okay, we show grace a lot right now. Any more questions?
Well, I was going to tell you, just if you have kiddos and you're looking for a good devotional, we are doing the Daily Bread. They have a kids version. It's very colorful, so it's great for younger kiddos. The Jesus is Calling is a really good range. They have a kids one, and it's great because I used to read before the kids would go to sleep here at the preschool, and there were days that the teachers would be inside the classrooms crying because it would just convict us. It's very broad, so it's great to be able to do it for a 2-year-old all the way up through adults. It's not as kiddish. So the Jesus Calling is another really good one.
I know for us with having older kids, I just bought a book that we had bought all of our kids several years ago, but it's actually a study Bible. And so it has the commentary, footnotes, and it has these articles inserted throughout the whole Bible that tackle the big controversial questions about the most difficult passages of Scripture. And it's called the Student Apologetics Bible, edited by Sean McDowell. And so I just bought this for myself because it's so good and it's so easy to understand. I don't know why they call it a Student Apologetics Bible, because I guess just because it's easier to understand than maybe adult apologetics material. But it's so fantastic that, to me, that's what I like to do that instead of a devotional, because it feels like a devotional to me, because as I'm reading scripture. So we're kind of like a 1 chapter a day, go through the whole Bible and then just start it all over again type family. So right now, and our girls are not on board anymore. It was like, okay, true confession, they're not on board anymore, but they do their own thing, and we try not to micromanage it. The older that they get, we have to kind of like loosen that up a little bit. But we still do a chapter a day. Right now we're in 1 Samuel. And with the addition now, because I hadn't been using a study Bible for years, because I'm like, I'm going to be a purist and not have the commentary in there or whatever. Now it's like, give me the commentary. I want more details. I want the historical background. I want these difficult passages explained a little bit. And so this Bible makes my daily reading now so much more rich, because when you are cruising through 1 chapter at a time, the Old Testament, I'm not gonna lie, it can be a little bit dry. But having that extra stuff added in is like, it is lighting me up every time I read it now when I look in there. Not every day, I'm going to be realistic, not every day, but so much more of the days I find something that I didn't know before, I didn't understand. And so we're big into books and reading and stuff, and so not to say that we do it a lot, we're not true bookworms. I don't really consider myself a true reader. I have friends that are true readers, I'm still wanting that, but I'm not there yet. But one of the things we did do, just to offer a little bit of routine to our family, is we did tell the girls, look, we're not going to micromanage your day. Just please wake up by 9, get your day going. And we fudge that sometimes, but please get up by 9. And you can do your schoolwork at your own pace. You can do whatever it is that you need to do. But please read for 30 minutes a day. You can do your devotion time during that time. You can read a novel. You could read a Christian book that you've had laying on your shelf for a while that you meant to read. Whatever it is, just read for 30 minutes. Does it happen every day? No. Do I micromanage it? No. But we do continue to talk about it because we value reading. And you know what? We are spending a lot of time on our devices. There's a lot of entertainment going in. And so as we're just continuing to take entertainment in, we don't want to be entertained to death, So, okay, let's be a little bit intentional and go, okay, I want to remember how to read when quarantine is done. You know what I mean? And so for us, just working with a little bit of routine and just going, yeah, just do your 30 minutes a day. I'm not going to make you exercise. I'm not going to make you do this and that and all this other stuff, but find 30 minutes a day to find something to read. You have full choice what to do, but anyway, that's part of what's keeping me sane right now. So, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to add something that, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And I'm thinking about our Sunday mornings are so rich right now because we watch the service here, we worship together as a family, and then we do the Acts prayer with our daughters. And the age range is 20, we have 20, 18, and 17. So they're older. But it has been the most nicest prayer time for us. It's been very rich. And at first they're kind of dragging their feet and are we going to do the whole Acts prayer? Can we just do it a different way?
Can we do the short version this time?
But we go around and I'm telling you, everyone is so blessed and happy that we did it. Once we've done it, once we all get there and do it. And so I think it's just one of those things where we've been, making the most out of this situation. I think that's what we're saying tonight is, we have this situation. Let's make the most of it. Let's make it count for the Lord, and we're going to be better for it. And I think that's the big thing. So there's things that we're doing now, we're experiencing with our families that we weren't doing a month and a half ago. And I think that's how we're going to look back at this time and go, my gosh, remember that era that we went through and how many cool things we learned and grew through. And so anyway.
Amen. Amen. And hey, the memes that are out there are hilarious. So Google some memes, get some laughter going. And so Gretchen, someone asked, who's the apologetics Bible that you mentioned? Who, if they want to look it up?
So let's see. I bought my copy of that through christianbook.com. Amazon sells it too. It comes with a few different kinds of cover options, but it's just called the Student Apologetics Bible.
Perfect.
And if you see that Sean McDowell's name is associated with it, you'll know it's the right one. But I actually think there's only one Student Apologetics Bible on the market right now.
Okay.
So,
perfect.
Super cheap too.
That's even better. Hey, as we wrap it up, we're kicking off life groups. And, yes, social distancing, again, physical distancing. So we're kicking off life groups next week, starting off on Monday night. So if you want to get on a life group, go to our website. It's a great way to get connected, even through Zoom temporarily. We have a great men's study that's starting on Tuesday. Our elders are going to be teaching that. It's going to be awesome. We have a great marriage study on Wednesday nights. That's going to be really, really cool. Our women are going through a great study called Not Alone. perfect, right? Not alone, especially right now. And a bunch of other studies. So just go to our website for more information on those. And don't do this quarantine or this time that we're in alone. Because we're not meant to be islands. So that's why I hate that social distancing. And talking about social distancing, you can still be physical with your wife. Don't do that. What my kid told my wife, 6 feet apart. That mandate has not happened, and if it happens, we will have some words with whoever puts that mandate out there. So hey, 14-day challenge, guys.
Thank you.
I know the guys
Appreciate that.
Yeah, see, the guys are gonna like, yeah, look, I'm getting a bunch of thumbs up over here on the screen when are we having worship nights? Yes, so this week we're not having one because of Good Friday and the 2 webinars that we had, but it is coming back next Friday. So the next 2 weeks is gonna be on Friday night, 7:30. And I know it's been a huge blessing just to get in our living rooms. And thank you, Maria, I know you were watching, for doing what you do and leading us in worship from your living room and your phone. It's been awesome. All right, guys, have a great night. Stay safe. Go get your mask. And it's next week, you're going to go to the store and they're not going to serve you or give you anything, or at least they can deny you service. So make sure you have those masks. I was telling Gretchen, Etsy, I know that you can get it fairly quickly. So go get your mask, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we're going through, I was trying to.
What's that?
We're going through